Stoner on the verge of clinching his second world title. 6th place or above will be enough for number 27 to regain that number 1 plate. He's won here for the last 4 years, riding the Ducati. He's had 4 successive pole positions here. He's won 8 Grand Prix this season. You've got to say he's the deserved world champion. The last few races, it's probably a question of when rather than if. With Lorenzo out of the race on his way to Melbourne for plastic surgery on that injured finger on his left hand. Stoner on the verge. And no better place to do it than at his home Grand Prix in front of his home crowd. Joe's right. There's plenty of people on the, certainly more people on the grid than there is riders or bikes at the moment.
That's something to say, an absolute massive mountain of people around Casey Stoner, as you would expect, obviously, with the way things stand out for this race. It's looking more and more likely that he could clinch the title on home soil today. Yeah, and there's a lot of interest around the Australian rider on pole position on the start of the grid.
Well, it would be special winning you know, the Grand Prix, obviously. He's done that for the last 4 years, but the world title would be very special indeed. His mindset, I would imagine, Joe, won't change with you. Knowing Casey Stoner, he's looked so good in qualifying and practice despite a tumble. There's Wayne Gardner, the winner of that very first Australian Grand Prix, 1989 on the 500cc Honda. What a race that was. Shakes hands with Colin Edwards. Won the race also in 1990 after a fabulous battle with Mick Doohan. Of course, he went on later to win here and win 5 world titles. Casey Stoner following in some very famous footsteps. Yeah, his mindset, I would imagine, Joe, won't change with you. He'll go out to try and win this one. I think if he tries to do anything else, it would be silly.
Yeah, knowing Casey Stoner and the way he prepares, he's just focused on the race. He says takes race by race this season, hasn't tried not to be thinking about the championship, and they're just completely focused on the race, won't be thinking about anything else going on around him.
Marco Simoncelli, he's had a right old Simoncelli weekend, I can tell you. 3 crashes in practice, all at the same corner. Coming off Lukey Heights down towards MG, but he's qualified on the front row. Qualified 3rd fastest, double winner here in the 250cc class. Had a good ride here last year on his MotoGP debut, where he finished in 6th place. Good chance with the gaps in the grid and the 2 leading Yamahas out of the race for Marco Simoncelli to secure his 2nd podium finish in MotoGP.
Well, we just jumped down onto the grid and we've got Mick Doohan, former 5-time world champion here. Mick, what advice would you give to, well, Casey won't need any advice, but how will he be preparing for this race with everything that's gone on around him this morning?
Yeah, look, you know, I think, you know, I spoke to Casey briefly before, and he was a little bit upset that Jorge wasn't out there to race against him. He'd prefer to be out and beat him on the track, but that's the way the dice roll sometimes and falls, and you know, luck's part of this racing game. But as far as Casey going out there racing, he'll just go out there and do the best he can, and that means trying to win the race. If he focuses on that, then everything else will fall in place. And you know, he's done a great job so far to date, and you know, I don't think anything's going to change today. He's been fast all weekend, and you know, it's his birthday today. Not that that'll mean much, but it'll probably help with the celebrations tonight if he can pull it all off.
And you all know, because you've been in this position before, how difficult can it be to concentrate on a race when you know that the title is within touching distance?
Look, you know, it's at the back of your mind, but really you try and put it at the back of your mind, because, you know, at the end of the day, you've still got to perform on the day, and it's all about those points. It's all about being consistent. So forget about that. Worry about what you're there to do today, and if you do that correctly, everything else will fall into place.
Okay, Mick, thanks very much.
Pretty good advice, I would imagine, from somebody who knows all about it.
He might have been through it before. He's been in a couple of situations like it, but 1998 was the one where he won the race, won the championship here in Australia in front of the home fans at this circuit as well at Phillip Island. Mick Doohan comes down, ridden against Loris Capirossi.
That's what I was going to say, yeah, they know each other well from the track.
1997 and 8 probably, 500s, 1997.
You've brought in the new grid here, you better read it out, because there's been so many changes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's only 14 riders starting the race, but we'll see them as they go through. Nicky Hayden qualified 6th, moves forward into 5th place. The big winner, I suppose, a big winner. Dani Pedrosa moves on to the 2nd row, which could be crucial for the battle for the podium positions. And Alvaro Bautista, of course, starting from his first ever front row start in MotoGP. It will actually be a a second row qualifying position. But first front row start, look at the breeze there is across them, and that's going when they tip into Doohan corner. That's picking up the front end of their bikes. They go into that fast right-hander, third gear.
This is Dani Pedrosa, won the last round at Motegi in Japan. 3 wins this season, 4th in the championship, just 1 point behind Andrea Dovizioso, 250cc winner here. Actually, when he clinched the World Championship in 2005, so he knows all about coming here and winning World Championships, but it's not in front of your home crowd, is it? That's what's so important. Of course, the big news in the week, we saw him briefly, Andrea Dovizioso leaving Honda and will ride for Tech 3 Yamaha next season.
Yeah, taking Colin Edwards' slots on the Tech 3 Yamaha team. The only 2 Yamahas in the race today, of course. I don't want to ask what BrazilianButterfly.com is. I really do not want to ask. Colin Edwards heads up row 3 of the grid, where his former teammate Ben Spies would have been, of course, in 7th position.
Yeah, as you say, Joe gave us a really good rundown on Ben Spies. It was more concussion than it was actually injury from the crash. And funny enough, we were talking last night, and somebody was telling us how badly damaged his helmet was, didn't they? And that's it. Loris Capirossi, his last appearance in Australia. Of course, he clinched the 1990 125cc World Championship here.
Well, we just saw Colin Edwards on screen. We'll jump in for a very quick word with him. Colin, you've just been out for the warm-up. Like, what are conditions like out there? What parts of the track do you need to be really careful around?
Yeah, they're nasty with all this wind. You have turn 1, turn 3, and you know, over in the back there's a couple of corners, but just gonna have to, you know, if you get in somebody's draft and just stay there with them, it's gonna help you out. So, you know, we just got to tag on to who we can and go with them.
Okay, Colin, best of luck.
Can you ask him what Brazilian Butterfly is, please? Can you find that out
please
for us?
don't.
I have a quick question as well. What's Brazilian Butterfly?
Do we want to
it's
know?
ass, back, and crack wax.
Thank you very much, Colin. You guys asked.
Oh, had to be something like that. Sorry for people at home if you're having your breakfast. Anyway, Hiroshi Aoyama, 10th position on the grid at the end of the 4th row. We saw Loris Capirossi and Randy Depunier in there. Had a shocking season, the pair of them, but could maybe salvage something today. And Hiroshi Aoyama has just announced that he will move to World Superbike next year for the Tenkate Honda team. Alongside him on that 4th row of the grid is Valentino Rossi and Cal Crutchlow, and we're just going to get a rendition of the Australian national anthem, Advance Australia Fair.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is goodbye sea. Our lands endowed in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
Could be a massive day for Australia today. Thanks very much to Zoe Badby, but it's Casey Stoner flying the flag for them on his 26th birthday in the Australian Grand Prix, and he knows if he finishes top 6 today, he will go away from this race as the world champion in MotoGP in 2011. Someone else who's won a race and the championship here at this circuit, Valentino Rossi.
Well, just as we watch Valentino Rossi on screen, we'll jump in for a quick word with Alessandro Cicognani, MotoGP technical director for the Ducati team. Alessandro, Valentino was pretty fasting in the warm-up session this morning, and some of the guys were saying that maybe you found something in the warm-up session. What did you find that sort of helped him push on a little bit?
As you know, for us every session is like a test. This morning we find a new solution in terms of setup, and they feel against the confidence on the front and without losing anything on the back grip. So it was a very quite good setup. got good warm-up, and now look for a good race. For sure we start from the back, hope to recover and do a good race, that's all.
Okay, Alessandro, good luck, thank you.
There's a real opportunity for a lot of riders, isn't it?
I
Pick
was,
up some
you know,
vital points.
looking
Some
down,
surprise people on the podium.
I suppose you've got Dovizioso and Pedrosa in there as well, but Hayden loves this place here. Looking Loris Capirossi and Colin Edwards as well. They've got
Batista,
pedigree in the
you'd
circuit.
really fancy.
I don't think so on the Suzuki personally. Suzuki's always struggled here. He set his lap off the back of Dovizioso. He says whenever he gets by himself on track, he struggles in the wind. I'd fancy Dovizioso, Hayden, Pedrosa to have I think you've got to think an all-Honda podium. But who knows, if there's something goes on there with Simoncelli and the likes in there, Colin Edwards and Loris Capirossi, could we see a 100th podium for Loris? I might really wishful thinking.
I think that's probably a little bit wishful. It would be.
But he has
very,
done a couple
very
of great
popular.
laps this weekend.
He's actually looked very good this weekend, Loris Capirossi.
Just having a quick look down the tyre selection sheet, which has just been handed to me by one of the Bridgestone guys. As you'd expect, Casey Stoner and all the guys on the front row going with that harder rear tyre, but Dani Pedrosa, who's obviously stepped up to the second row, has gone for the softer version, so it could be interesting to see how that works for him, because he was having a few issues with the tyre yesterday, I know, after the qualifying session.
And interesting that a lot of them have gone for the soft front, in fact all of them have gone for the softer front option, which is really intriguing, because these riders, they really like a harder front, but they have struggled for rear end grip here, and perhaps when they found that it pushes the front a little bit too much. I don't know, they obviously want more feeling in that front end or over the bumps at this track, and feel the soft option suitable. So Dani Pedrosa, we did say, didn't we, yesterday, he didn't really improve much in qualifying, and
just in the morning it looked better, isn't it? Yeah.
So I just wonder whether that's a consequence of that, or just that's the only way he feels comfortable.
Valentino Rossi, an amazing record here at Phillip Island. Interesting to hear what they said as well.
Well, probably why as well Dani Pedrosa didn't move that much further forward in terms of lap times at the end of qualifying, if he's going to go with that fully soft setup. Yeah, Rossi from 11th place will be very intriguing to see what he's capable of doing from there. Remember the race when he got a 10-second penalty at this track and managed to pull out 12 seconds over Loris Capirossi? Well, I wonder what he can conjure up. So we saw the front row of the grid there, soft front, hard rears, and stage is set. Number 27, celebrating his 26th birthday.
4 successive wins here at Phillip Island. He's chasing his 5th. This is 4th successive pole. He's won 8 Grand Prix this season. Surely the stage is set here at Phillip Island for Casey Stoner. Great to see Suzuki on the front row, isn't it?
It is. Alvaro Bautista starts from the outside in 3rd position, having moved forward. Marco Simoncelli moves into 2nd place on the grid, but that's because Jorge Lorenzo, the only man who was capable of taking the title from Casey Stoner, he's out of the race with he's lost part of the ring finger on his left hand. So that means Casey Stoner, who starts from pole position in his home Grand Prix at Phillip Island, if he finishes in the top 6 today, he will go home back to New South Wales as this year's world champion.
So welcome back to Phillip Island. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Gavin Emmett, down in pit lane Joe Carandor. 27 laps, could be 27 laps that decide the outcome of the 2011 MotoGP World Championship. Look at that front row, Stoner, Simoncelli, Batista. Big change round.
27 laps for number 27 to claim the championship as well. D'Andrea Dovizioso heads up row 2 ahead of Nicky Hayden and Dani Pedrosa.
3rd row, Colin Edwards, Loris Capirossi, and the Frenchman, Randy de Prunier.
And it's Aoyama with Valentino Rossi alongside him, and Cal Crutchlow on the outside of row 4, only the 2nd Yamaha in the race. Abraham and Elias on row 5. There is no Jorge Lorenzo, no Ben Spies, no Damien Cudlin. The kiss from the wife.
The next kiss he may get could be a World Championship winning kiss.
Yeah, he didn't get one in Japan, did he? Because she didn't travel there. They're expecting their first child in February next year, and he says he won't get any slower. Whatever people say about you losing time, says he'll do his job on the track, and he'll have to get used to not getting those kisses before the race.
Stoner goes. Only 14 riders on the grid, no fault of anybody. Injuries, I'm afraid, play that major part. Should have been 17. 3 riders injured. Spies, Cudlin and Lorenzo out of the race. Last chat about the conditions, Joe.
Yeah, very, very windy, as Colin Edwards is explaining. But in terms of the sky, it's quite blue. The sun's coming down, so that part looks okay.
Well, that's much, much better for us. We want it like that. We want a dry race. And the riders, more than us, want it like that as well. Maybe some of them will have thought, if it's a wet race, there's a chance of me sneaking onto the podium, but they all prefer the dry, deep down inside. 16 degrees, 29 on track. That's the track surface. But look at the wind speed. That's the hardest it's been all weekend. 35 kilometres an hour, whipping in off the Bass Strait. It's a fabulous venue, probably the most spectacular motor racing venue in the world, just the way it hangs over the cliff tops of the Bass Strait at the southern end of Phillip Island, just to the tip of the peninsula to the south of Melbourne in Victoria State, as someone pointed out to me yesterday.
Well, yeah, we've got to get that right, haven't we? Up over the top of Lukey Heights, one of the iconic corners on this circuit, and they plunge down towards the MG corner. This is where Marco Simoncelli crashed yet. 3 separate times in 3 separate practice sessions, but he's still starting second fastest in the middle of that front row of the grid. Interesting to hear what Mick Stoner said. Mick Doohan said about Stoner, wasn't it? He'll just concentrate on the race. That World Championship business will be in the back of his mind. Mum and Dad are there, ready to celebrate with their son.
Bronwyn and Colin Stoner have made it here, and they've already had 1 World Championship for their son back in 2007 at Ducati. Can he repeat the feat and then become only the 5th rider in history to win Premier Class titles on bikes from 2 different manufacturers? That's what lies ahead of him. In 27 laps time, Stoner could be crowned world champion for the 2nd time in MotoGP.
So welcome back to Phillip Island. The World Championship could be decided in the next 27 laps. Stoner in pole position. Jorge Lorenzo out of the race after a crash in the morning warm-up. Stoner has to finish in the top 6 to be declared the 2011 MotoGP World Champion, and problems on the grid.
Yeah, and they won't like this. Cal Crutchlow can't get his bike started, and the team come out as Steve Thompson from the team is going to get the bike restarted. They're being held such a long time, the riders at the front wondering what's going on, as Crutchlow does eventually get his bike going. He's going to roll it onto the grid. The lights go on, and they're going to get underway.
27 laps, the Australian Grand Prix. Stoner makes a great start.
Brilliant start from Stoner. Also from Nicky Hayden from the 2nd row of the grid. Hayden's going to go into turn 1 in 2nd place. And I just think that's Loris Capirossi as well who's come through. It's Stoner leading. It's going to be Hayden in 2nd place. In 3rd place is Simoncelli. 4th is Dovizioso. 5th is Bautista. 6th is Loris Capirossi. And then in 7th place, Valentino Rossi has also made a great start. He's moved up 4 positions. But Stoner exactly where he would want to be, and just the right rider as well behind him in Nicky Hayden as well, because Hayden you wouldn't have thought would be able to track him down too quickly.
14 riders on the grid. Jorge Lorenzo out with a finger injury. Ben Spies out after a big crash in qualifying yesterday. Damien Cudlin, the Australian, after a big crash yesterday morning. He was replacing Hector Barbara. Stoner where he wants to be, at the front. 26 and a half laps left of concentration for the 26-year-old Australian who celebrates his birthday today. Could he be world champion at the end of this?
Bautista then sits in 5th place now. He's got back in front of Dani Pedrosa. And just looking at the back, Cal Crutchlow obviously affected by that on the grid. He lost a couple of spots. He went to the back of the field, and now he's in 13th position, only ahead of Tony Elias, trying to get through on Hiroshi Oyama, but not managing to do so. Stoner, as he has led every single lap bar 2 for the last 4 years at this circuit, will now lead across the line after 1 lap of the Australian Grand Prix. 26 more to go for the new 26-year-old.
Down into the Doohan corner. This is the Gardner Straight. Australian legend Stoner will join them shortly. Nicky Hayden in second place, as we said. Stoner one blip the whole weekend after about 7 minutes in the first practice session. He crashed at the Honda hairpin. Since then, he has looked immaculate at the front.
And Dani Pedrosa has got Alvaro Bautista just in behind him, just like in qualifying yesterday. Bautista using Dovizioso's kind of windshield, a windbreak as he went down the home straight there, and he's managed to stick with the Honda of Dovizioso, pushing extremely hard on the brakes to stay with the Honda rider. But Paul Denning told us yesterday that it would be a real tough job for him to have any chance of going for the podium in the race today.
Up over Siberia, that's the bus straight behind them. We ride with Casey Stoner. Look at that gap. 1.3 seconds. Hayden now coming under pressure from Marco Simoncelli. Both of them have finished on the podium this season just once.
I mean, in terms of the race spectacle for a neutral, what you didn't want was Casey Stoner to get into turn one first. You wanted Hayden, you wanted Simoncelli to be in there, but they haven't managed to do that. And Stoner is just going to check out now, and he might as well ride all the way back to New South Wales, because he just has to do the business and keep this, bring this bike home now. It's his to take.
Simoncelli moves in front of Nicky Hayden. Simoncelli up into second place. Nicky Hayden, that famous 69 in third, as they race down the Gardner Straight into the Doohan corner. 2 laps gone.
And Stoner doesn't want to make it easy for himself. Sets a 1:30.9 down into the 1:30s already in this race. Only a couple of riders went there during free practice. Only Simoncelli and Lorenzo were managed to duck under really that 1:31 barrier. A few more managed it in qualifying. But Stoner is already there with just 2 laps gone. He's already got a 2-second gap over Marco Simoncelli in second place. But Simoncelli will be able to centre podium.
He will, and he's going to come under pressure later on from Andrea Dovizioso as we see him go past Nicky Hayden. That's a brave overtaking place there for Simoncelli. Simoncelli second, Hayden third, Dovizioso, Bautista. Look out for Dani Pedrosa at the back of the group.
Well, he's been sat there though for a while now, hasn't been able to make a move. I think Bautista is pushing to the absolute limit to be able to stay in front of Dani Pedrosa, on board with Pedrosa. And look at Bautista, he's quick through those sections where it just links in. And it's just going to be on terms of engine that he might suffer. Okay, just when they get onto that home straight, they're all bunched in behind Nicky Hayden, and Dovizioso will be desperate to get through on the Ducati rider.
Just gone through MG corner, that's where Simoncelli crashed 3 times in practice, 3 separate practice sessions. He crashed there every time, safely through turn 11, coming up to turn 12, that brings them back into the finish straight. 900 metres long, downhill, over 200 miles an hour. Fantastic views of the ocean.
I mean, look at Dovizioso just draft past Nicky Hayden comfortably there, and Alvaro Bautista also having a think. He's going to take the wide line into Doohan corner. Was he thinking about perhaps taking the inside line then into the southern loop? Not able to do anything about it, but he's lost his windbreak a little bit there in Andrea Dovizioso. So now he needs to tuck in behind Nicky Hayden, but he'll have to think about Dani Pedrosa, who's just in behind him. Another fast lap from Casey Stoner, 1:30.629. This time at the front, he is in his own race.
It's in his own world, I think, at the moment as it stands. Dani Pedrosa gets up the inside of Bautista at the hairpin. The fiercest battle, one would imagine, if he can get up there, it's going to be between Dovizioso and Simoncelli.
And with Pedrosa joining the front as well.
They don't get on with each other. Dovizioso has left Honda to join a Yamaha.
Dani Pedrosa's through on Alvaro Bautista at the Honda hairpin. So Pedrosa now has Nicky Hayden in his sights, and we could have a Honda top 4 here. Of course, remember, there are no factory Yamahas in this race today. Both Ben Spies and, more importantly, Jorge Lorenzo are out with their relative injuries.
Nicky Hayden coming under big pressure now from Pedrosa. Bautista, I think you're right, is having to hide very hard indeed to stay in this group. I think I want to get past Hayden as quick as he can.
Well, it's going to be down the straight, down into turn 1. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for the diminutive Spaniard as he just streaks past Hayden coming out of that final corner. Nothing Hayden can do. A slight lack of confidence about when he can get on the throttle for Hayden, no doubt. Down into turn 1. He hangs on. Is he going to be able to ride around the outside and then into the inside in the southern loop? He is. That's brilliant stuff from Nicky Hayden. That's the way to do it at Phillip Island, and Hayden loves this circuit. Had some great results here in the past. Still holds the lap record as well from 2008 when he was on board the Honda, a 1:30.059. and I'm not sure Stoner will even bother to challenge that. He's dropped back to the 131s with his 3.3 second lead over Marco Simoncelli.
Down at the Honda hairpin, Battista having a nibble up the inside there of Nicky Hayden. That's Simoncelli, Dovizioso, Pedrosa, Hayden and Battista.
Of course.
At the front, Stoner is running away with it.
Pedrosa back in front of Hayden there and into 4th position. Bautista also wanted to make it through, but not to be. And so Hayden loses out. Dani Pedrosa hangs on to 4th, and it'll be tough for Hayden this time to get back in front, unless he can find something in MG.
Good battle. We're riding with Alvaro Bautista. Pedrosa and Hayden still fighting it out. Nicky Hayden, the sole Ducati representative up there amongst the Hondas. Nearly 4 second lead for Casey Stoner. Championship's getting nearer and nearer as we speak. Jorge Lorenzo on his way to Melbourne by helicopter. Plastic surgeon is already ready to do the operation on his finger. We don't know if he'll be fit for Sepang. Here comes Bautista trying to get up the inside of Hayden as they race into the Doohan corner. Not able to do it this time round.
Suzuki team look on nervously with Alvaro Bautista in 6th place. Valentino Rossi was closing in behind him on that last lap, but actually Bautista picked something up in the last couple of splits there and managed to pull away ahead of him again. I wonder if he can get in front of Nicky Hayden. This could be interesting because they've been almost neck and neck, haven't they? I think Bautista was about to make a move on Nicky Hayden into Honda hairpin as we ride with the race leader and champion-elect Casey Stoner, but he's still got to navigate another 21.5 laps.
Yeah, and you've got to keep the pace going, haven't you, to keep that concentration going. I remember asking him, I think, after one Grand Prix when he led by a country mile, he said you keep that pace going because you have to keep your concentration levels up. Dovizioso closing up nicely on Simoncelli. This is going to be the fierce battle of the race. A lot of pride at stake here. Dovizioso has left Honda to join Yamaha Tech 3 next season. He's miffed that Marco Simoncelli's got factory support next year when Dovizioso's 3rd in the championship and Simoncelli is down in 8th place.
A very polite way of putting it, miffed. I don't think he'd have been using those words, well, apart from probably saying it in Italian. Loris Capirossi drops behind Hiroshi Aoyama and drops into 13th place behind the Japanese rider now, Alvaro Bautista. Certainly, when they get down the straight, Hayden pulls away every time, but Bautista then closes up during the lap. Valentino Rossi is nearly 2 seconds behind him, so he is losing time to both Hayden and Bautista. Bautista thought about the inside line through the southern loop. Rossi in 7th place. We know they're only thinking about next year. We just want to see Ducati develop something and create something for next season and be able to compete at the front once more.
Good ride by Hayden, good ride also by Bautista. Good to see the Ducati and the Suzuki up there. Of course, no works Yamahas, no factory Yamahas in the race. Lorenzo and Speed's out. This is Simoncelli, factory support for his Brazilian team. He's in 2nd place, Dovizioso behind him. At the front, Casey Stoner has simply cleared off from the very moment the lights changed. He's got to finish in that top 6. He will be declared the 2011 MotoGP World Champion with 2 rounds remaining. I don't think you'd get any bets on it now, would you?
He's got a flask of tea on that bike, Casey Stoner, because he could take the time to open it and have a little sip of it now, because he's almost got 5 seconds at the gap now over Marco Simoncelli in 2nd place. And even Jorge Lorenzo said if he was in the race, wouldn't have been able to challenge Stoner for victory, but you have to feel with the pace of the riders behind the mid to high 131s that Lorenzo would easily have had 2nd place sewn up. Now it's his finger that needs sewing up in hospital in Melbourne.
Hayden in 5th place, Bautista.
Every time just having a little look.
Yeah.
Just got a little bit dark overhead, Joe. There's nothing to worry about in terms of weather, is there?
Well, there are some dark clouds on the horizon over the to the right side of the start-finish straight. They all need to be kept an eye on, definitely.
This is a good old battle between Cal Crutchlow and Carl Abraham in front of him. Hiroshi Oyama just getting in front there of Crutchlow.
He'd lost the place previously to Crutchlow on the first lap, but now comes back into it. Aoyama's been announced. He will ride for Tenkate Honda in World Superbike next year, so we wish him all the best. Former MotoGP riders have done well there in recent weeks, I suppose, with Carlos Checa having clinched the championship.
Crutchlow and, of course, Carol Abraham confirmed for next year with the teams they're in at the moment.
Still so much speculation about what's going to go on. Will Grassini have 2 bikes next year? That's doubtful. I think it will be the one for Marco Simoncelli, maybe a CRT bike as an addition. That's where Crutchlow ran it a bit too deep down into turn 1 and gave Aoyama the room to come through. Loris Capirossi got some great memories at this circuit, some fantastic memories in the past. I don't think any sweeter than 1990 as Aoyama comes through and into 10th position ahead of Carol Abraham, showing just why Tenkate were keen to sign him for Superbikes next year. But Capirossi, 1990, 17 years of age. Were you here, Nick?
I certainly was when he won the 125. The Mafia ganged up on all the other riders and helped him win the championship. Fausto Grassini, I remember.
Got to be careful what you say, Nick. They'll be listening.
And they will.
They'll be listening.
First look at Colin Edwards, rather a lonely 8th place for Colin Edwards.
If you go home with a finger like Jorge Lorenzo's, I know that they were listening,
Yeah,
don't I?
that would be a plastic surgery ready for me in the hospital in Melbourne.
Randy De Punier in 9th spot. He's got a bit of a gap to Edwards in front of him and a bit of a gap behind him to Hiroshi Aoyama. In fact, 6 seconds back to Aoyama in that battle for 10th place. It has spread out a little bit in midfield. Rossi is 2 seconds behind Bautista. Edwards 2 seconds behind him. De Punier 2 seconds behind him. And then that battle for 10th place is 6 seconds back. But this is a really nice battle to watch between Nicky Hayden and Alvaro Bautista. Really enticing, because they're getting very close, as are Dovizioso and Simoncelli.
We ride with Nicky Hayden. Batista keeps having a go at him, not quite getting close enough, but it's interesting that Paul Denning said, the Suzuki team manager, yesterday after qualifying, he didn't think he'd be at the run at the race pace. He isn't running a bad pace at all at the moment, isn't he, Batista? Okay, the times are down, but he's hanging in there well with Nicky Hayden.
He was a bit worried about the degradation of tyres, wasn't he? There are bikes being readied in pit lane, Joe.
Yeah, they're being warmed up. No signs of any rain at the moment, but like I said, that dark cloud overhead is creeping in. There's a lot of concerned people in pit lane at the moment.
Biggest concern will no doubt be at Repsol Honda, because they know Stoner needs to finish in the top 6 for the World Championship, but rain could scupper his plans. Okay, he does have a comfortable 6-second advantage, but he might need that advantage if the rain were to come.
Well, it becomes a decision of when to come in if it is a flag-to-flag race, and that's a decision only the rider can make. Doesn't matter how well you ride, it's when you make that decision. Remember Marco Melandri winning here, 2006? So
yeah, he picked the right point back then to come in. And the battle for second place is really hotting up, and that's one that could definitely be affected by the conditions. As we watch Stoner, brilliant shot of him coming out of Siberia, and the way that bike pulls out of the corner, that's been the key to their success this season. The battle for second place is hotting up. Simoncelli 6 seconds behind Stoner, with Dovizioso and Pedrosa both within a second of the Italian.
We want them to rename turn 3 the Stoner Curve.
Everyone who's listening now, could you please just send in your petition into the Australian track here at Phillip Island? We want that called the Stoner Suite, don't we? We've started our own campaign this weekend. Yeah, send in the emails. I'm sure they're going to be delighted with us. Now, the white flag is out, so they can come in to change bikes whenever they want. White flag is out on track.
Perhaps there's another twist to this tale. We don't know. 17 laps to go. The white flag means they can come in to change bikes. It also means that they may know something we don't know about the weather.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that it's actually raining yet, but you can see there are spots about.
Oh, here comes the weather forecast man down below.
Well, just a few mechanics running around like crazy in pit lanes, all pointing to each other, saying that apparently there are a few drops at turn 2.
Right, well, these are the riders who would know. Casey Stoner's lap times haven't moved at all, at 1:31.5 last time. So, yeah, it hasn't shown so far. He's just getting on with his job.
It's the absolute last thing he wants, isn't it, Casey Stoner? He doesn't want any interruption on his flow. This is a great wrench for now.
Right, let's have. I mean, he's got 11 seconds as well on Bautista and Hayden, who are battling. Bautista's actually got through on Nicky Hayden, and he's up into 5th place. But he's got that 11-second cushion to those 2 riders there. And then to 7th place, he's got 12 seconds to Valentino Rossi. So, in fact, Rossi has really joined in with that group. He's half a second behind his teammate, Nicky Hayden now.
Simoncelli over the top of Lukey Heights, down towards MG. This is where he's been down 3 times already this weekend. Dovizioso behind him. Dani Pedrosa, of course, who won the last round 2 weeks ago at Motegi in Japan. It's all Honda. 1, 2, 3, 4. Batista's done a good job in 5th. Hayden 6th. But we just keep an eye on the weather. I know Joe will tell us straight away if there's any sign of any rain. See the white flag.
The white flag doesn't mean that it is raining. It doesn't mean it's raining. The white flag with the red cross means that it is spitting or there is water on that section of track. The white flag is for the race director has given the okay for the riders to come in and change bikes if they need to. It's basically his safety card. It's basically just saying, look, it might be unsafe in a bit, so you do have the option to come in.
It's a second place battle making the race exciting, although Simoncelli has just opened up a little bit of an advantage then over the 2 factory Hondas of Dovizioso and Pedrosa as they break for the Honda hairpin. Appropriately named, really, isn't it, with 3 Hondas diving in there and Stoner leading the way.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Dovizioso did close in on that previous lap on very similar lap times, 0.3 behind. Pedrosa across the line was alongside Dovizioso. So Dovizioso maybe knows Pedrosa's there and he's thinking more about the rider behind him. It's obvious that Hayden's pace has just dropped slightly. A 1:33.4 last time, Rossi a 1:32. So he was a second quicker, the 9 times world champion, and he's won here 7 times previously. In 5 times in the Premier Class.
5 successive times in the Premier Class and 2 250cc, which is one hell of a record, isn't it, for Valentino Rossi? And we were saying yesterday, he's just got bite the bullet at the moment. He must enjoy races like this, though. He's at least a little bit competitive.
He hasn't been off the podium here in 14 years. Oh, that was the last time he was off the podium, 1997.
He's probably going to have a fight pretty hard to get on the podium.
Was that the first race back here after being at Eastern Creek?
97 it was, yeah. Well, there we go. That's the 2 factory Hondas, the Repsol Hondas of Dovizioso and Pedrosa. Simoncelli still holding on to 2nd place.
Also a factory-supported Honda,
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Do have HRC engineers in that team. But Dovizioso is obviously a little bit more concerned about Pedrosa behind him than attacking Simoncelli, because Pedrosa has been alongside him a couple of times now, and he is alongside going into Honda hairpin, and it's a switcheroo for the Honda riders. Pedrosa up into 3rd place now to track Simoncelli.
Just seeing the white flag, I know it doesn't mean it's raining, but the riders must start thinking then,
just dropped by a second on that previous one.
They're waiting for some spots of rain on the visor, aren't they then? It just alerts them that there is rain about.
Stoner did a 1:32.1, so did Simoncelli, so there is every chance that there are a couple of spots at certain parts of the track, but just a second on that previous one, and Stoner still has a 7-second advantage over Marco Simoncelli. Really good battle hotting up for 5th place between Bautista, Hayden and Rossi, and we're so desperate to see Suzuki in the championship next year. You almost want Alvaro Bautista to finish there, just because we want them to get the best results possible. There was a possibility of a podium last time at Motegi with all the drama that went on there. I tell you what, we've had a few talking points over the last couple of Grand Prix weekends with everything that went on at Motegi during the race there and everything that's gone on before the race here.
Here comes Rossi. He's going to come out of the slipstream. I would imagine that Nicky Hayden blocks him well into the Doohan corner.
It's just got that little misty look, hasn't it, looking down that home straight there.
As
if there's moisture in the air. Now, Rossi comes through where Hayden is so strong into the southern loop. It's a classic overtaking manoeuvre at Phillip Island to run it a bit deeper into Doohan corner, and then look at this down here. That looks really like
it's Risley old.
But it doesn't.
Conditions we don't know.
In terms of the lap time, Stoner did a 1:31.7, matched by Marco Simoncelli, so it hasn't dropped too much. Oh, Rossi thought about going through on the inside of Bautista, but holds firm. The Suzuki rider. Oh, leg comes out as well to block Rossi's path through.
Rossi currently running in 6th place. We ride with it. That's Alvaro Bautista in front of him on the Suzuki. It does look
a few spots of rain, I think, on the camera lens.
Yeah, I do
here
as well.
At this part of the track as well. So every chance that there is a bit of fine rain in the air.
Joe, what is it like at the start-finish?
Still very, very windy, but no rain at all down here on the start-finish straight. Hell of a lot of dark grey cloud coming over the start-finish straight there.
Oh, Valentino Rossi goes through on Alvaro Bautista and crashes out an empty corner. Could have been a 5th place finish, but he's dropped it in the
second race in succession for Valentino Rossi, crashing.
Yeah, I mean, the previous one had broken a run of 25 consecutive point scoring finishes, and he's just saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me have another go, come on. Let me just see, can we get it started? It worked at Jerez, remember?
Yes, it did. He had about 25 marshals, and then here he goes. This is coming down towards MG.
Maybe that's the Australian marshals' own revenge there.
Oh yes, of course. Because it was Casey Stoner who claimed that he didn't have any help at all.
Yeah. Brent Stevens, crew member for Valentino Rossi, really disappointed with that one, as he would be, to be expected.
Casey Stoner, we haven't seen a lot of him, have we? We're going to see a lot of him now because he's on his way to that 2011 MotoGP World Championship.
Previous lap he did a 132.9, 2 seconds slower than he normally would have been.
He was a bit nervous, well, as you could expect him to be, over the top of Luke Heights. This is where Valentino Rossi crashed. I wonder if he's still in the gravel trap there, he's not going.
You know, Dani Pedrosa has closed in on Simoncelli. It's down, it was at 2nd, now down to 0.7.
Well, just on the start-finish straight, right up on the final turn as they come into the start-finish straight, as Casey Stoner's doing now. Just feel some spots of rain falling down here as well.
Yeah, you can see it on the helicopter as well. It's in the air, it's hanging in the air. Will it affect them? There's, when they come across the line now, there's going to be 12 laps to go in this Australian Grand Prix. We're past halfway point, but this race will go to the finish. That's what flag to flag means. If the rain comes, they can come in and change tyres, but at the moment, not enough to warrant that change. And Valentino Rossi is out. He's going to retire from this Grand Prix.
There's a ride back to the pits for Valentino Rossi for the 2nd race in succession. You remember he crashed out in Motegi 2 weeks ago and broke his little finger.
That was less of his fault in Motegi because he was sandwiched between the 2 Yamaha bikes. And Alvaro Bautista did really well to avoid Valentino Rossi there, didn't he, as well? Just picked the bike up and then saw he needed to come on the inside of the Italian and did so, and made it safe as he came through.
11.5 laps to go for Casey Stoner. It's up at the top end of the circuit, through the hay shed up towards Lukey Heights. Would be his 9th Grand Prix victory, his 5th successive win here at Phillip Island, but the weather could still play a part. There certainly is some spots of rain from the helicopter. It seems that this part of the circuit, if there is any drizzle falling, it's here rather than at the start and finish. As Joe tells us, it's still dry there. Dani Pedrosa trying to close down on Marco Simoncelli.
Not quite yet able to put anything on him. The gap back out to 0.2. It's who feels most comfortable in these tricky conditions. Right, that's Randy De Punier, who'd moved up to 8th position after Rossi ran off track, and he's actually could have hung on to 8th position here, but we'll have Carol Abraham for company now. In fact, Abraham, Crutchlow and Aoyama are tucked right in behind him. So Randy De Punier just wanted a race, didn't he? Just created something, and the others have closed right in on him by him running off track at Honda Hairpin.
Alvaro Bautista hangs on to 5th place. Hayden, of course, 6th now with the demise of Valentino Rossi. Colin Edwards has been a pretty lonely old 7th place for the veteran. Randy De Punier, as we saw, run off the track. This is the battle behind him. Comes Carol Abraham up the inside. Very swift into the Doohan corner. He's had some crashes this weekend for the rider from the Czech Republic, but he's done really well there. Crutchlow trying to go through as well. Hiroshi Oyama is the former 250cc world champion. 2 more rides in MotoGP before he goes to World Superbikes at the back of the group.
This is De Punier having dropped it down behind Abraham, and maybe even further now as Cal Crutchlow comes through. That's where De Punier is obviously not going to be so confident after running it off track there. Can see a few more spots of rain on the camera lens as well in this part of the track. The part of the track nearest to the coastline, right on the cliff tops, is down at Siberia. Brisk wind flows in. You know what? Casey Stoner has had a moment. Suddenly, his gap has dropped right down. It's at 4.7 seconds.
Still a fair old gap, isn't it? 4.7, but it's a warning for him.
Yeah,
just to remind you, he's got to finish in the top 6 to clinch the championship.
I think it might be that Simoncelli's under pressure and being forced to push more than anything, because Simoncelli just did a 131.8, Stoner a 132.9. He needs to just manage that gap, and I'm sure he'll be being told. Joe will be able to tell us, but I'm sure he's being told what the gap, to the chasing group is behind him. And when he sees it drop to under 5 seconds, then he'll push again.
It's poor old Tony Elias running in 13th place. He arrived here last year as the Moto2 World Champion after clinching the title in Sepang. We now ride with Casey Stoner. He'll have everything crossed about the weather. He doesn't want the rain to start coming. Just get through these last 9.5 laps, and then the whole of Australia can celebrate before they sit down for probably the biggest rugby match they've seen for a long time, as they take on New Zealand in the Rugby World Cup semi-final, which I think starts at 7 o'clock Australian time.
Yeah, and it's 4:30 here, so in a couple of hours after the end of this
alcohol
race
will be consumed, though.
I think there'll be a few people who've been here as well who might be in a sorry state come the end of tonight, depending on the results later on. They might even miss it.
Right with Dovizioso, that's Pedrosa in front of him.
Of course, this is where Lorenzo crashed this morning. If you look really carefully, you might see the tip of his finger in there somewhere.
Is that what they were looking
for?
I think they were.
It was really interesting because we watched it happen. The crash happened. We said, well, looks like he's damaged the ring finger on his left hand. Yeah, you can see the blood there, whatever. Not quite sure. Should be okay for the race. Has he lost a fingernail or something? Then we're told, no, he's unfit for the race. Suddenly we see a marshal. The marshals frantically looking in the gravel. They find his glove. They hand it in at the medical centre. So we're thinking, what's that all about? And then we go back just before the 125s went out, and 2 of Lorenzo's mechanics are in the gravel. It was a surreal moment, looking for something, and you just think, well, what else can they be looking for apart from?
It's not the end of his finger.
No, but what else can they be looking for? Just maybe trying to see if they can sew it back on. If not, it could be hard for Lorenzo to get married.
The plastic surgery for Hoy Lorenzo, I believe plastic surgery's already in place. He's been flown to the hospital in Melbourne. He's probably there now, probably watching the end of this race on the television. And oh dear, sitting in a hospital watching your World Championship disappear, it will not be easy. We ride with Andrea Dovizioso. He's trying desperately to stay with Dani Pedrosa, but he's not making any real impression. And it's a very, very good ride by Marco Simoncelli in second place.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's pulled back out to 0.9. He's responded, and Casey Stoner has also responded. Pulled that gap back. It was at 4.4 at the end of the previous lap, and suddenly Stoner's dropped his times game. It's called race management, I think. In golf, call it course management, I suppose, but that's race management from Casey Stoner. Just using his head, not needing to push too much. Slight moment from Simoncelli through those bumps coming into the start-finish straight. The riders have said that's where it's possibly at its worst, coming through that final section, and the gap is back out to 5 seconds between Stoner and Simoncelli now.
Yeah, they've had the V8 cars here, and this track will be resurfaced after the race next year. Casey Stoner was quite critical of it. Let's have a look at the start. A great start from Stoner, just what he wanted.
Look, it was a great one from Nicky Hayden. Loris Capirossi comes through from that third row, and he's almost third going into the first corner.
Stoner, where you want to be.
Where Crutchlow was, right at the very back as well.
After problems starting the bike.
Problems starting, and suddenly they put the lights on, and I think Crutchlow was saying, what? I've only just got it started.
And he jumped the start in with Teggy, so it was all a bit confusing for him. Rather Colin Edwards, boy, he made a bad start. Boy, some people gone past him.
He had to work his way back. He's in 7th position in the race, the lead Yamaha. I suppose is one way of looking at it, and Simoncelli has certainly shown he's got the pace this weekend. Dani Pedrosa has one thing working against him here, and that's that he's using the soft front, soft rear tyre. And I wonder if towards the end of the race, this is the circuit that's probably the hardest on the left-hand side, maybe Sachsenring as well, but very hard on the left-hand side of the tyres. Right-hand side, not so much. So they're asymmetric tyres that they're running. But towards the end of the race, we saw in Moto2, we saw that it really can be a problem. So I wonder if in these latter stages, Andrea Dovizioso, who has gone with the harder option rear tyre, will have just a slight advantage in terms of the amount of rubber he's got left.
Well, this is a very important race as far as third place in the championship goes, because Dovizioso leads the
Here he comes.
by 1 point, and he's going to increase that lead, isn't he? He's gone past Dani Pedrosa.
Yeah, he goes back into third place, so 16 points for Dovizioso. Will be 13 for Pedrosa if he finishes in 4th spot, but Pedrosa won't give it up without a fight. And of course, if Dovizioso does finish ahead of his teammates, he extends that lead for the 3rd place spot. on the rostrum at the end of the season.
This is the battle for third place in the championship, third place on the rostrum as well. Casey Stoner is cleared up at the front. Marco Simoncelli is doing a really good job in second place. And it does appear at the moment that the weather's staying fine as we watch Dovizioso go past Pedrosa.
Yeah, comfortable enough move, wasn't it, from Andrea Dovizioso. Lined it up from a long way. And through he went, eased past his teammate at the southern loop. But Pedrosa won't give it up that easy. Dovizioso now rounding the final couple of corners. This one I'm sure will go down to the wire.
6.5 laps to go for Casey Stoner, and he will be crowned the 2011 MotoGP World Champion. Well, 6 laps to go now. Tense times. I bet they got fingers and arms crossed now. That Repsol Honda garage, just these two are having a rare old scrap for third place.
Yeah, and it's not about Simoncelli anymore. Simoncelli should take second place in this race. It's who's going to finish in third. The battle between those two continues to rumble on, and the battle rumbles on still for 8th place as well, with Hiroshi Aoyama leading it from Carol Abraham, Cal Crutchlow, and Randy De Puglia. How many times have we talked about these four? Usually with Hector Barber in amongst them as well. But unfortunately, Barber is resting up in a Valencian hospital at the moment. And he's hoping, announcement this morning, he's hoping to be back for Sepang.
What a brave move by him. Oyama goes past Carol Abraham. Cal Crutchlow closes right up. Randy De Puglia already run off at the Honda hairpin, now at the back of this particular group. This is the battle for 8th place. Some very important points at stake here with such a small field. You can pick up points perhaps that you may not have picked up with a full field. So important for these riders, the likes of Cal Crutchlow and Carol Abraham. Was the two rookies in the MotoGP classes. Cal Crutchlow goes in front of Abraham at the Honda hairpin.
Yeah, 7 points separate them in the championship for that Rookie of the Year title. Crutchlow on 57, Abraham on 50 points. So you think if all individual points here are crucial in that battle for the pair of them, because you can't imagine they're going to take up big chunks out of each other unless one of them crashes out.
Of course, riding that circuit, he knows well. Dani Pedrosa's not given up this particular fight, is he, with Andrea Dovizioso?
Yeah, Dovizioso breaks a bit later than Dani Pedrosa. Always been Dovizioso's forte, that how late he can break into the corner. And Pedrosa was trying to do something, but Dovizioso then, if he breaks that little bit later as well, it's not such a problem because he can bring it back round for the southern loop.
Oh, who's this? Oh, it's Casey Stoner. No, he's running away at the front.
He's already run away. He's just sat there now. And
he is. 4.5 laps to go. I bet the World Championship winning T-shirts and celebrations are being prepared back in that Repsol Honda garage. I bet there's a few beers being readied in the fridge throughout Australia. It would be a 65-point lead over Jorge Lorenzo. We don't know when Jorge Lorenzo will be back in action. He has to wait till he has the operation on that injured finger.
Yeah, he only needs 50 to be crowned world champion tonight. It's got very dark out there once more. A massive look behind there from Casey Stoner. And this is him coming into the start-finish straight on the previous lap when the sun was out, but suddenly dark, Joe.
Yeah, you'll see it's getting very dark on screen as well. The wind coming down the start-finish straight, which is coming right into their faces now, is incredibly strong. It's gone so much more forceful in the last few laps.
Yeah. Dad, wife, they're all looking on, aren't they? Ready?
Tense times.
You can feel the tension from that picture, can't you? You really can feel the fingers.
They're like, we just want to watch Casey on track.
Yeah.
We just want to check he's okay.
Else. Let's just check that he's all right. But of course, when he clears off at the front so comprehensively, the picture will probably be shown of anything else. But he's a very, very worthy world champion.
Oh yeah, from his performances this season, he's deserved everything this year. He could become, as we said, only the fifth rider to win the Premier Class title. That's 500cc or MotoGP on motorcycles from 2 different manufacturers. Can you name the other four, Nick?
Jeff Dew.
Yeah.
Valentino Rossi.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it in chronological order.
Eddie Lawson.
Yeah.
I've got to get one more. I'm trying not to look
at I think the greatest of all time, perhaps.
Giacomo Agostini, Yamaha and MV Agusta.
Yeah, there you are. You got the four. Now, who's this? Carol Abraham. Well, we were talking about one of them maybe crashing and doing something for the Rookie of the Year trophy. And Carl Crutchlow's got advantage in that one now because Carol Abraham has gone down. And not quite sure where that is for him. Maybe around the southern loop, perhaps.
With 4 laps to go, it's now starting to spit very lightly in pit lane.
Oh, and I think I saw a little bit of rain as well coming as they come through this final corner. Oh, big
up there
moment for Casey Stoner.
Well, that's because it's actually starting to rain very, very heavily now down the start-finish straight.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear me. Now, do you come in and change? Has he got to wait for other people to come and change? Is it? Oh, is it heavy rain? You can tell by the way he's riding all of a sudden. Knee not going down.
Oh,
Alvaro Bautista's gone. Well, with 3 laps to go, a spanner thrown in the works of the script writers here. Bautista riding by himself, and his knee goes down, and he didn't know, by the looks of things, how much it was raining. Front end's gone, I don't believe it, riding in 5th place. Oh, it's sheeting down here.
2.5 laps to go for Casey Stoner. Does
Now,
he continue?
Nicky Hayden has come into the pits. Nicky Hayden has come in from where he was up into 5th place, but he's come into the pits.
Hayden's come in to change bikes now.
Yeah, there he is. We can see him on screen. You can see the chaos it is. It's extremely tight in that pit lane, the tightest on the calendar, and he gets going on the bike with the wet setup. Will it do anything for him? I suppose he might as well have a risk of it.
There's 2.5 laps to go for Casey Stoner. I think he wipes his visor a little bit there with his glove.
One of the Pramac bikes has also come into pit lane.
Yeah, it's Loris Capirossi who's come in, and now you can see Casey Stoner has just got to use all his nous. He stays out there. Yeah. He stays out there till the end. Yeah, because no one's even with. It just depends. I mean, Joe, it looks like it stopped raining down there to me.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now it's stopped raining completely in pit lane.
I just think you have to stay out there. We can see behind him, Marco Simoncelli is still 5 seconds behind. So he just has to do it because, Dani Pedrosa, it's Andrea Dovizioso trying to go through, in fact, on Marco Simoncelli, his great rival. And Dovizioso obviously feels a lot more comfortable in these conditions. And Dovizioso goes through on Marco Simoncelli. Will Simoncelli fight back?
Just when you think it's all over, folks. Done, dusted and done. Phillip Island weather comes up. 2 laps to go.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Well, I suppose Hayden and Capirossi had to take that gamble. Nicky Hayden rejoined the race in 7th place, so why not? He's only lost a couple of positions, and he'll be able to lap so much quicker. Stoner, his lap times are 20 seconds down on where he was in the drive.
Crutchlow going as well.
And Aoyama.
Oh, they both went.
Yeah, both going down.
Oh, what a disaster.
But separately by the looks of things.
Crutchlow doesn't look too happy in the crumble truck. There is Aoyama.
So that's how treacherous it is out there. That's how dangerous it is out there. And if it were Casey Stoner were to go as well, then, you know, that would be
back to square
one.
Back to square one,
Exactly. He still needs to pick up the points. He's still got 1.5 laps to go, and he's still managing it. He has amazing feel for a motorcycle, Casey Stoner. Of all the riders out there, you have to say, whenever it gets tricky, he just seems to have something, but we don't put the kibosh on it, do we? Still going on the battle for 2nd position in this race between Dovizioso and Simoncelli.
Whoa, 1.5 laps to go for these two. Casey Stoner a little bit nearer the start and finish. There'll be 1 lap to go for the Australian. Bright sunshine now here on Phillip Island. Are they going to be celebrating an Australian world champion? But Casey Stoner didn't want this, did he? What a bad, tough old time for him.
Right, he's coming into the start-finish straight. He's got Loris Capirossi and Tony Elias ahead of him on that straight. 1 more lap, and Casey Stoner can be crowned world champion if he comes round this circuit that's just under 4.5 kilometres, 2 3/4 miles for Stoner to be crowned world champion. In 2nd place, Andrea Dovizioso. 3rd is Marco Simoncelli, but we're riding with the world champion-elect. As you can see, already goes through on Loris Capirossi, his former teammate, who helped him, of course, when it was raining in Japan, when he won the World Championship for the first time in 2007, because Capirossi won the race on that occasion.
Coming up to the Honda hairpin for the last time for Casey Stoner. He crashed here. Oh, it's Marco Simoncelli. Almost touches Andrea Dovizioso. This is the battle for 2nd place. Simoncelli back into second place. Dovizioso surely will have another go.
Yeah, surely. I must line something up, MG corner, something like that. Loris Capirossi doing really well. He's on the wet tyres, but staying out the way. The sun is out now, but you would have believed it had that downpour with just a couple of laps to go. Casey Stoner only has another 4 corners to negotiate. What will Dovizioso be able to do? Can he take Simoncelli for that second place? Simoncelli may just have enough in the bag.
14 riders there may have only been in this race, but boy, it's been a traumatic affair. Casey Stoner now is closing up on the 2011 MotoGP World Championship. Simoncelli in second place. Everybody stands at Phillip Island. Casey Stoner onto the Wayne Gardner Straight. Casey Stoner wins the Australian Grand Prix and is crowned the 2011 World Champion.
Stoner's done it in second place, Simoncelli third for Dovizioso, but Stoner has claimed his second World Championship. Dani Pedrosa rides into 4th spot, but for the second time in his career, the 26-year-old celebrates his birthday. What a present that one is. Pats his bike as well. And look how happy he is to have won that in front of his home fans. Could it be any better on your birthday?
I can't really think of anything being better. You win your second world title, your 5th time at home, as Dad celebrates with the team, and it's your birthday as well. Dani Pedrosa is going to say, world champion, well done, mate. And he is a very, very worthy world champion. Fill us in, Gary.
Yeah, 9th victory of the season, of course, for Casey Stoner. The first Honda rider to win since we went to the 800cc bikes. He's the first rider ever to regain the Premier Class World title after a 3-year gap. He's had 11 poles this year, a new record for poles in the MotoGP era, only the 5th rider in history to win titles on 2 different manufacturers, and he's 32 wins in his career now. He's only the 5th rider in the whole of history to have managed that before.
T-shirts at the ready. It's going to say 2011 World Champion, but Phillip Island just had a bite in the tail, didn't it? It didn't just let him run away with it. Let's celebrate with the 2011 World Champion, Casey Stoner.
Your world champion for 2011, the Australian Casey Stoner, takes the plaudits from the Australian fans as he brings it back into pit lane, riding the wrong way up pit lane. They stop the lap short here because we do usually get a track invasion, and you sort of forgive them a little bit today,
well,
don't you?
They're allowed a track invasion today.
It's a slightly special moment for Stoner. Number 27 has just clinched his 32nd career win, and with it, his second World Championship. You don't see too much emotion like this from Casey Stoner, but it means so much to him to do it here in Australia. It looked like it might not happen. He said it's such a slim chance of it happening. He won't have wanted Jorge Lorenzo. In fact, you know what he did?
In the medical centre, we saw the pictures of him going in to see
himself, his dad, Livio Supo, all went in there to see Jorge Lorenzo. They get on, those two. There's great respect between the pair of them. He won't have wanted it to come like this, but he'll graciously accept it, I'm sure.
They wanted to wear a special T-shirt over his leathers, then we've got to get his helmet and stuff off first. His wife wants a kiss, but she wants him to take his crash helmet off.
I don't think he can believe it.
No, I don't think he can. You say, he doesn't show a lot of emotion, Casey Stoner, but boy, is he happy. And rightly so. Very, very deserved world champion. As Gavin said, he wouldn't have wanted to win the championship here the way he did with Jorge Lorenzo out. All he could do was go out and win the race, and that's exactly what he has done. Congratulations, Casey Stoner.
What a place to do it as well. Mick Doohan did it in 1998. We've seen lots of people crowned world champion here in Australia. Over to Mum, Bronwyn. She gives him a big hug as well. And he gets congratulations from, first of all, from Andrea Dovizioso and from Marco Simoncelli. Lots of respect between these top riders. And, well, you've got to allow Stoner a moment to bask in the glory here at Phillip Island.
That picture will be on the front of every Australian newspaper tomorrow morning, I can assure you. I hope the Australian rugby captain will be alongside it.
There's Colin Stoner in Parc Ferme as well to congratulate his son. What a birthday present this is. It couldn't be any better. Shake of the hands between two rivals, Dovizioso and Simoncelli. Simoncelli, that's his best result, of course, in MotoGP.
He fought back well, didn't he? Because I thought Dovizioso had got past him and that was going to be it. The flag flutters number 27. That's going to have to be altered next season because it's going to say once again, number 1.
Second time in his career, of course. He won it in 2007 with Ducati. He becomes the first Honda in the 800cc era to clinch that title. And they've been desperate to do it. They've thrown everything, including the kitchen sink at HRC, to making sure they took the world title this year. They've taken a 1, 2, 3, 4 in the race today.
What they needed was the rider in the end, wasn't it? And they brought the right man.
You know, we spoke to Mick Doohan, didn't we, before the race? Spoke to him earlier on in the weekend as well, and what he said was, you know, the key part in the Ducati World Championship and this Honda World Championship, the key element which remained the same is Casey Stoner. There's Shuhei Nakamoto, exec VP for Honda. Again, someone who's not got too much emotion as well. He's been brought into Parc Ferme to celebrate. He won't want to go onto the podium, you know. He won't want to do it.
You've got to go. No.
He hasn't been up there all year for any of Stoner's 9 wins.
I think he should probably be up there this time round. Emotional scenes here there at Phillip Island in Australia. It's an Australian who's won the race and clinched the world title.
Let's not forget, he's won 5 in a row now here at Phillip Island. He's only not led a lap once. That was when Pedrosa led across after lap 1 in 2009. It's incredible for him to have done it here. Jorge Lorenzo, I'm sure, will be congratulating Casey Stoner later on this evening.
I don't think without any shadow of a doubt he'll be doing that. This is the race for second place. It was an amazing
with
battle.
The rain coming down still, the lap times they were pushing at the end, 1:33.4 from Simoncelli, 33.9. This is bearing in mind Pedrosa's in the 1:38s, Edwards a 1:40, De Punier a 1:38. You know, they pushed beyond the limits to beat each other there. Simoncelli's beaten Dovizioso.
Simoncelli, that or bust, wasn't it, for Marco Simoncelli on that last lap?
Yeah, I think Simoncelli's beaten Dovizioso now for the last 3 races, and will be delighted at that, of course.
His 9th Grand Prix win of the season. Casey Stoner wins from Marco Simoncelli and Andrea Dovizioso. Dani Pedrosa, Colin Edwards, Randy De Punier, Nicky Hayden, Tony Elias and Loris Capirossi. Only 14 starters. Some fell by the wayside, didn't they? Carol Abram actually finished the race. Batista crashed, Uyama crashed, Cal Crutchlow crashed, and for the second race in succession, the 9 times world champion Valentino Rossi crashed out.
Fantastic venue, and it's seen a fantastic world champion crowned today. Casey Stoner with 65 points advantage over Jorge Lorenzo. Cannot be caught with 50 points up for grabs in the last 2 rounds. Marco Simoncelli moves up a couple of spots ahead of Valentino Rossi in the World Championship by virtue of today's second place, in fact, because they're level on points. He's into 6th place.
Crutchlow just winning that rookies battle by 1 point from Carol Abraham.
Yeah, who managed to get back onto his bike, of course, and finished in 10th place. So he did pick up still 6 World Championship points.
Dani Pedrosa, a bit disappointed, I would imagine, finishing 4th place after winning last time out in Japan. It's been a good day for the team, isn't it? We'll look forward to Sepang in a week's time, and then the final round of the championship in Valencia.
Hasn't worked for him this weekend.
No, not the whole weekend, really.
Yeah, we thought he found something on Saturday morning, and then in qualifying just couldn't improve. We felt it was all to do with the tyres, and we said he went with the softer options in the end. That didn't pay dividends.
Well, plenty of people on the track. Who can blame them? Australian success in Australia. Casey Stoner, does he take the bow. He just puts both hands in the air by the right arm, celebrates. He is the world champion with 2 rounds still remaining.
No, they're Nick, you're matching him in there.
I am. I'm getting excited there. Like to see world champions. I think he's a worthy man. There's mum and dad celebrating.
They knew it was. They knew it was possible today. So perhaps not relief as such, as much as there might be on any other occasion.
But you've got to say, if Lorenzo hadn't crashed, it probably wouldn't have been now. It would have been Sepang. You have to take advantages that come your way.
And as we say, he won't have wanted Lorenzo to have ended in that way. And I'm sure when we hear from him, he will say that. He will say, you know, I won't have wanted to win it. Take it, I'm sure. Now confirmation that Honda are the Constructors' champions. It was already confirmed last time out, was it? No, it can't have been actually. No, it was. It's just been confirmed.
Honda Yamaha's in the race today, was it? Well, no factory Yamaha's in the race
and
today.
I'm assuming that means as well. Yeah, no, not quite, because you can get 45 points maximum in a race as a team with a win and second place. So still that hasn't been decided. And so Repsol Honda, though, could be on for the Triple Crown. Well, they likely will take that Triple Crown. It's been such a disappointing day for Yamaha Racing, with both Jorge Lorenzo and Ben Spies unable to take part, both in the warm-up, but first Lorenzo's crash into that final corner, and then Ben Spies' crash from yesterday, putting paid to their races today. The riders step onto the podium and take the plaudits of the crowd. But you just wait for that special moment when he lifts up the trophy. He won't get the World Championship trophy just yet. That will come in the gala event at the end of the year in Valencia, after the last race of the season. That'll be handed out by the FIM president, Vito Ippolito there. Andrea Dovizioso takes the prize for 3rd place. Trophy for Marco Simoncelli in 2nd. I think he enjoyed that one, having beaten Dovizioso today. Now, this will be the biggest roar of the day. Coming from the Minister for Tourism and Major Events, Louise Asher, handing out the trophy to the 2011 MotoGP World Champion, Casey Stoner. And just listen to the fans here at Phillip Island. Great rendition of a Vans Australia Fair from the Phillip Island crowd. You can tell that meant something to Stoner, the way he scanned. Look at the front straight here. Named in honour of Wayne Gardner, MotoGP legend in his own right, but Stoner, well, he's up there amongst those legends, Gardner and Doohan, isn't he? And he will be there. There will be something named after him in the future. And Stoner stood on top of that top step to take the plaudits and spray his team with the champagne. He is the world champion, and he is fully deserving of that world championship.
What a day for Casey Stoner. What a day for Australian motorcycle racing. What a day for Honda. It's been one of those days all the way around. Oh, 1, 2, 5, Moto 2, and then a world champion in MotoGP. It's been a very, very special weekend here at Phillip Island in Australia, as it always is. But a fitting end to the day is Casey Stoner on the top step of the podium. He wins here at Phillip Island, but of course he is the 2011 MotoGP world champion.